Have you served in the military and are thinking about using your VA eligibility for a home purchase? Would you like to hear 6 myths and 6 truths of VA financing? Well, I'm Natalie Bratton with the RE/MAX First in Oklahoma City, and I am ready to share with you just that, 6 myths and 6 truths of VA financing. Oh, and if you make it all the way to the end, I have a special guest, a handsome loan officer who can share with you some tips and advice for your home purchase. Stick around. Here are 6 myths of VA financing. Number 1, I can only use my VA one time. Not true. You can use your VA eligibility over and over again as long as your entitlement is available. Number 2, I don't pay any closing costs, right? Wrong. You do have closing costs, just like any other mortgage. You have title fees, lender fees. Both of those are the cost of doing business. You have your prepaid taxes and insurance that go into your escrow account, plus your home inspections and appraisal. Now, you can ask the seller to help pay some of those costs, but they're not required to. So if you can pay your own closing costs, you'll get a better price on the house, but you can ask the seller to help if you want to save that money for something else. Number 3, I can use it for any type of purchase, right? Wrong. It has to be a residential home purchase. You can't use your VA entitlement for a land loan, and I don't recommend trying it on a foreclosure or a short sale or some sort of odd purchase. You can't buy a fixer-upper where the seller is not willing to do any sort of repairs. So, residential only, and it can be ugly, but not a true fixer-upper. Number 4, VA hires their own inspector, right? So I don't need an inspection? Wrong. You do have a home inspection, and you hire the home inspector. What you're thinking of is the appraiser. The lender hires an appraiser to make sure the home is worth what you're paying for it. But they have a special certification for VA loans, and they have a list of property conditions that have to be met for you to get your loan. That means if there's chipping and peeling paint, broken window panes, structural problems, and a laundry list of little things, if any of those things are broken and not working, the VA appraiser will write that those conditions have to be met for you to get your VA loan. That's why you don't want to buy too much of a fixer-upper or one where the seller says it has to be as is, because the lender will require those repairs be made before you get your loan. Number 5, VA loans just take too long. Well, that's because you're using the wrong lender. There are lenders out there that will tell you that a VA loan can take 45 to 60 days to close. Now, if I'm a seller and you're buying my house, I don't want you to take my house off the market for 60 days. But the good lenders can close your loan from as short as 3 weeks to 5 weeks. 4 to 5 weeks is typical. So if you talk to a lender and they say it's 45 to 60 days, they aren't doing a good job. And 6, I can't buy a house and use VA entitlement when I'm deployed. Wrong. You can. I mean, it's tricky, but you can do it. If you have a family member who is in the place where you're buying and they can go ahead and take occupancy, that's the easiest way to do it, but there are ways to work around it and do things virtually so that if you know you're coming home in a couple of months, there will be a home that you purchased there waiting for you. Number 1, you generally get a pretty low interest rate. It's not always lower than conventional loans, but it's often a good rate. Number 2, no down payment required. That's right. You can get in with 0 down payment, and then all you have to worry about are your closing costs. However, you can make a down payment. In fact, if you make over 5% down, you will cut your VA funding fee and you can get a much lower payment. No mortgage insurance. That's right. So how the government is thanking you for your service is you get 0 down payment and no mortgage insurance on your monthly payment. 4, there is a funding fee, the cost for getting the loan. So on your first use, the funding fee is 2.3% of the sales price, and that you either pay it at closing or it gets tacked on top of your sales price. And for the second time you use it and any time after that, it's 3.6% of the sales price. So yeah, if you can make a down payment and help lower that, you'll feel a lot better about your monthly payment. The loan amount caps off at $510,400, and that's for right now in 2020. It changes every few years based on cost of living. So if you buy a house that's more expensive than $510,400, any amount over that you're going to be paying as your down payment. Credit score on VA across the board is 620 or higher. Oklahoma. Here's what's special about Oklahoma. If you are a disabled vet, you do get extra benefits based on the percentage that you have been designated as disabled. In Oklahoma specifically, you will no longer pay residential property taxes, and you get less taxable income from your disability, and there's other ways you get discounts on sales taxes as well. But also if you're disabled, no matter where you live in the United States, then your funding fee will be waived based on the percentage of your disability. When does your VA eligibility start? Well, if you've been active duty for at least 2 years, then you can start using your eligibility for a VA loan. If you're in the Guard or the Reserves, it's 6 years. However, if you've been deployed for at least 90 days, then they go ahead and give you that eligibility. Hey everybody, I am back with Chad Bratton. He is not only my handsome bearded Abe Lincoln looking husband, but he is a loan officer with Fairway Mortgage Corporation, which happens to be one of the top 5 lenders for VA borrowers. And on top of that, he has been an Oklahoma Army Guardsman for the last 19 years. And thanks to the COVID, he hasn't had an in-person drill for a few months. Therefore, he can have a beard.
Virtual duty.
Virtual duty. Okay, Chad, what would you give as advice to any prospective VA borrower out there?
I would say if you can, if it's possible in any way, file for your disability. You can be in the process, you could be just starting. Communicate that with me as much as possible, because there are steps we can take, even if you're in process and we close on the home loan, that you can get it either refunded or do a principal curtailment at the end of it on the VA funding fee. So that's step one. And then the other part of what I would say is save, save, save. And now they will tell you want to bring cash to a transaction to make a competitive offer. And VA is no different than any other home loan program that you would use in that respect. So you want to save money for paying down 5% down if at all possible, because you'll cut your VA funding fee. If you don't have an exemption on it, you'll cut it in less than half. And so at the end of it all, I would say save, 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 just like you would any other home loan purchase. And then definitely keep tabs on your disability if you have any prospects at all in filing for VA disability.
So is VA lenient at all with like credit, debt to income ratios, income, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we only require a FICO of 620. And then the other thing I would say is on your debt to income, we often refer to as DTI. We can go, generally speaking, above 50% if you've got a decent FICO at all. We're talking mid-600s. It's very likely we'll be able to go above 50%. I've actually had a client have an approved eligible through our automatic underwriting system up through 71% to be able to do a non-contingent home purchase and not sell their home. So VA has a lot of leniency. All that being said, you still want to pay your bills on time. You definitely want to keep your mortgage payments on time and keep your credit as good as possible. But yeah, it's certainly very, very lenient in that respect.
And what states do you do mortgages in?
So I am currently licensed in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, and now Texas.
Whoa, that's impressive, huh? If you want to talk to someone about getting approved for a mortgage and have questions on VA loans, then I will put Chad's info in the description. Cool?
Sounds great.
All right, thanks.